CNN reports that lawmakers in dozens of mostly red states have passed or introduced a record number of anti-LGBTQ bills this year. The latest attack came this week in Florida, where the State Board of Education passed new discriminatory rules. Equality Florida reports that the state expanded its enforcement of its notorious Don't Say Gay law. Teachers are now threatened with being fired and even stripped of their education certificate if they have offered, quote, classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity. This is a direct assault on teachers' ability to do their jobs. It is an underhanded attempt to portray the mere existence of LGBTQ people as controversial. The goal is to scare people back into the closet and force teachers, students, and parents to whisper gay and trans as if something is bad, as if it's something to be ashamed of when it's not. What's really shameful is Governor Ron DeSantis' cowardly attack on LGBTQ youth and degradation of Florida's school system, simply to score cheap political points so he can one day become president of the United States. Make no mistake, these rules are an authoritarian gag order designed to suppress free speech that right-wing conservatives disagree with. This is classic indoctrination under the guise of education. It's what we'd expect in Putin's Russia, rather than the United States of America. I mean, is this America anymore? Think about it. Joe Saunders, the senior political director of Equality Florida, said in a press release, quote, the Board of Education's move to target individual teachers' jobs and licenses is another cruel attack from an administration that has spent months punching down at Florida's LGBTQ youth and families. Saunders pointed out that these new rules deliberately confuse people. They're ambiguous. Teachers have no idea what to do now. After all, how are teachers supposed to know what qualifies as classroom instruction? Does a teacher acknowledging that she is a lesbian or has a female partner qualify as instruction? If a student with two fathers mentions his family in class, is this instruction? Is the teacher supposed to pretend that that student's family doesn't exist and disappear their family? Again, is this America? If a trans student is being bullied, can a teacher no longer step in to keep that student safe? These are questions teachers do not know. Nobody really knows the answers to these questions. Why? Because the state wants teachers to walk on eggshells, concerned that anything they say could be construed as instruction, that their careers could be ended on a whim, just because they're accused of giving instruction on LGBTQ issues or trying to help a student who needs support. Teachers will live in a constant state of panic and err on the side of caution, even if it harms these LGBTQ students. This is wrong, it's immoral, and it's the opposite of education. Another rule passed by Florida's Board of Education targets school districts with policies that allow transgender students safe access to bathrooms and locker rooms. The new rule requires school districts to notify parents if they have a policy allowing bathroom or locker rooms to be separated on a basis other than biological sex at birth. We all know that this rule is intended to rile up right-wing parents, so they'll organize and badger school districts and teachers. The state is essentially outsourcing bullying and intimidation to so-called parents' rights organizations, which are thinly disguised conservative inquisition squads. They're often a book banning battalion across the country. When these puritanical groups talk about representing parents, they aren't talking about all parents. They really mean right-wing parents. They are often mouthpieces for anti-LGBTQ evangelical churches. And in no way do they represent all parents, and they certainly do not care about creating safe environments for all students. Given the politically motivated manipulation and coercion by Governor Ron DeSantis and his cronies in Florida, no wonder why teachers in that state are so unhappy and fleeing the state in droves. A survey by the group We the Parents found teachers leaving Florida at a higher rate than other states, with 6,000 vacancies statewide and 61% of teachers considering leaving the state. The exodus of Florida's teachers is so concerning that the state is inviting military veterans with no prior teaching experience to lead classrooms while they earn education credentials. Marlon Gregg, a teacher at Arlington Heights Elementary School in Miami, told Reuters that he had one sibling in the U.S. Army and another in the Air Force, but, quote, I would not entrust them with my children as teachers. It's just not fair for someone to come into a classroom unqualified, unprepared to teach and shape young minds. David McGrath, an English teacher in Punta Gorda on the west coast of Florida, wrote in the Fort Myers News Press, quote, DeSantis apparently thinks Florida's loss of quality teachers is a small price to pay for his national political ambitions. Bingo! McGrath nailed it. This is not about the schoolhouse. It's about Governor DeSantis pandering to his base to get to the White House. Florida is my home, and it's close to my heart. It's a shame that Governor DeSantis and Republicans are returning it to the swamp, more accurately, the right-wing fever swamps. They are thoughtlessly transforming Florida into an ugly backwater of ignorance and intolerance. They are shamelessly putting political ambition over the future of Florida's children. These students deserve better. They should be learning about reading, writing, and culture, not props in Governor DeSantis' culture war. The Sunshine State will not move forward and prosper in darkness. And a dark ages mentality is exactly what Governor DeSantis and the Republican Party have brought to Florida.